Hello friends, welcome back to my channel Mukesh English, and this is Mukesh Soni. Friends, in this video I will talk about the important questions from the famous poem titled Caged Bird by Maya Angelou. And these questions I have tried to gather or collect not only from the textbook but also from the other sources. So there are a lot of extra questions that's going to help you to understand the poem as well as to get the more marks or the best marks in the examination. And don't forget, I already done the video on the analysis or summary of the poem, so you can check the summary of the poem's video in the description box. So without much delay, let's begin the 2 marks questions discussion here. So very first question we have here: how does the poet describe the flight of the free bird? The free bird leaps on the back of the wind and floats downstream till the current ends and dips his wing in the orange sun rays and dares to claim the sky. Question number 2: who is the speaker and what is the subject of the poem? The speaker is Maya Angelou, the American poet. The subject of the poem is about the condition of a free bird and a caged bird. The poet describes about a caged bird with clipped wings. Its feet had been tied and it had been placed in a cage that prevents it from flying away. In spite of its fear, despite its fear, the caged bird continues to sing of freedom. Question number 3: who or what does the free bird symbolize? Option A: the people who live in the world unconstrained by the prejudice of any type. Option number B: the shackled feet of oppressed, the unheard cries of suppressed. So what's the option? The people who live in this world unconstrained by the prejudice of any time, that is a free bird symbolized here. What is the expression bars of rage refer to the second stanza and the second stanza? The bar of rage refers to the bird's frustration and anger at its situation of helplessness. The word clipped in the poem means the word clipped in the poem literally means wings are clipped. Metaphorically means freedom is taken away. Then and his shadow shouts on a nightmare scream. What does it suggest? So the right answer is here, the very first answer. The bird does not concede defeat and sits silent in the cage. Instead of it, it sings in support of the freedom. What is the tone of the poem? When the poet talks about the caged bird, the tone is gloomy and depressing. When the poet describes the free bird, we'll find here the tone is more optimistic, happy, and joyful. So we find here there's a change in the tone of the poem while describing both the birds. Question number 8: mention 2 examples of imagery in the poem. In this poem, so we have few images are here. Free bird and back of wind are the images of sight and feelings. Orange sun rays are the images for sight. Throat to sing are the images for feelings. The poetic device used in the poem are alliteration, personification, imagery, all the above. So alliteration, personification, imagery, all these 3 poetic devices are used in this poem, Caged Bird. What does the word clipped mean in this poem? The word clipped in the poem means to be tied or fastened to something. 11, question number 11. What does the caged bird to do inside the cage? What does it do inside the cage? The caged bird sings the songs of freedom in a very trembling voice, in a very hesitating voice, very trembling voice, but it sings the songs of freedom. Where does the free bird dip its wings? The free bird dips its wings in the orange sun rays and dares to explore the sky. What does the bird, what does the free bird think of? The free bird thinks of another breeze as it enjoys flying through the trade winds that flows through the trees. It flies freely and considers the sky as its own realm. Realm means its own samrajya. Question number 14. What does the free bird do downstream? The free bird hovers over a stream of wind, floats downstream till the point where the current ends. Current means the wind's current. What is the trade wind in the poem Caged Bird? The trade wind may be defined as the wind that flows towards the equator from the northeast in the northern hemisphere or from the southeast in the southern hemisphere. Why does the caged bird sing a fearful trill? The caged bird could never have the taste of freedom. The bird chooses to sing of freedom because it is the only thing it can do. The tune of the bird could be heard in the distant hills. Question number 17. What kind of a song does the caged bird sing? The caged bird sings the songs of freedom, inspiration, and hope. Despite being in a cage, the bird communicates its desire for independence through the songs. What does the free bird symbolize here? The free bird flies around the wind currents, feeling like the sky belongs to him. The caged bird is an extended metaphor for the black community in America and worldwide. The free bird symbolizes people who live in this world not burdened by the prejudice of any type, whether it is a racial, socio-economic, or psychological. The free bird has the opportunity to move through life soaking in its abundance. Last question for 2 marks. What does the caged bird symbolize? The caged bird symbolizes Black Americans' plight. The caged bird is the symbol of misery endowed upon the poet's race by the oppressors. The caged bird sings fearfully of those things he does not know but still wants, and his song can be heard from far away, as far as away as the distant hills, because the caged bird sings about freedom. So friends, these are the 2 marks questions, and where I have brought some extra questions also. So now let's have the discussion of 5 marks questions. What are the fears of the caged bird as described in the poem Caged Bird? The caged bird has a wavering voice. He is singing of freedom, something he does not have. The idea of freedom is his dream, one he cannot achieve. So he sings about the freedom. So there is a fear in his voice. He had never known what freedom tastes like, but hopes to have it for his own. His voice can be heard from distant places or hills where it inspires others to dream of freedom. The caged bird fears all the unknowns, but always wished to see the unknown if it meant getting out of the cage. The free bird sang, rejoicing in its freedom. The blacks' dream of liberty is very old. Despite their continued struggle, they have suffered defeat and frustrations repeatedly. Thus, the caged bird's fear is about the uncertainty of achieving freedom in the future. Its fear, its fears reflect those of the blacks who no more wish to go through the pains of racism, discrimination, bestial treatment at the hands of the whites. So these are the fears of the caged bird. Question number 2. Explain the figures of speech, the artistic beauty of this poem. Maya Angelou, she has used many poetic devices in this poem Caged Bird, including metaphor, rhyme, imagery, alliteration, personification, and repetition. In the poem Caged Bird, Maya Angelou employs these poetic devices to contrast a free bird with a bird who is confined to a cage. The two different birds serve as metaphors for people who are free from oppression, and the people who are oppressed by the society, respectively. Here, the poet contrasts the situation by presenting the image of a caged bird. The caged bird tries to go after his cage in vain. The cage is narrow, and its metaphorical bars are of rage. Metaphor is employed in the line on the back of the wind. The poet uses his instead of its. That means he is applying here personification, which gives human quality to something which is not human. Metaphor can be seen in the expression bars of rage. Birds are the ultimate symbols of freedom, and since they have wings and can fly wherever they wish, Maya Angelou uses the juxtaposition by contrasting the life of free bird to that of one caged bird. Now, the question number three: why does a caged bird stand on the grave of dreams? The caged bird knows that he is not flying in the sky and he is not free, but a captive, a prisoner. He thus stands on the grave of dreams. He knows his dreams of flying in a free firmament to experience freedom is absolutely futile, absolutely waste. He cannot experience it. He had lost all the hope of freedom. The caged bird lives in a setting of horror, and he is the most fearful part. This reveals the author's feelings about her own dreams. Cage is like a graveyard to the dreams and the hopes of the bird who wants to leap on the back of the wind and float downstream till the current ends and dip his wing in the orange sun rays. The poet has so many dreams that have died because she was never given the freedom to achieve all that her white counterparts were able to achieve. Fourth question: describe the free bird surroundings and the effect of the surroundings in this poem. The surroundings of of the free bird consist of the whole world, including the boundless sky, rivers, streams, and the entire earth itself. He enjoys the sun by dipping his wings in the glides as if he claims the whole sky. The endless sky is unrestricted for him to fly. He can easily fly. A free bird thinks of another breeze that he can enjoy. He can enjoy the sighing trees and be free to find his own food. Thus, the environment of the free bird consists of the whole world, which includes the sky, rivers, streams, and it is at its liberty to enjoy the bounties of nature. Thus, the free bird lives in a colorful, bright, and dreamy world. Describe the theme of the poem Caged Bird. Very important question. In the poem Caged Bird, Maya Angelou uses the theme of oppression as a foil to the theme of freedom. In contrast to the free bird who soars on currents of wind, and the titular caged bird is imprisoned in his cage with clipped wings and tied feet. The caged bird is so frustrated with his situation that he often cannot see through his bars of rage. Beginning with the opening stanza in which the speaker uses the imagery to describe the free birds free access to the wind, sun, and sky, the caged bird shows freedom as its major theme. As the poem progresses, the poet contrasts the free bird's access to freedom with the caged bird's song of freedom, which shows its lament for its confinement and its longing to live free. By juxtaposing the two birds' perspectives, Maya Angelou shows how the free bird feels an inherent entitlement to his freedom. Meanwhile, the caged bird understands the true value of freedom because it is something he has never known or he has never experienced or seen. Last question. compare and contrast the condition of the caged bird and the free bird. The free bird is opposite to its caged bird and serves to highlight everything the caged bird lacks. The free bird is able to do whatever it pleases. In the first stanza, Maya Angelou presents the free bird. The free bird hovers over a stream of wind, floats downstream till the point where the current ends. The free bird claims the sky as its own because it never had anything else to share it with. Maya Angelou uses the two narratives to create a contrast between the two birds. The second stanza of the caged bird mainly focuses on the caged bird and its pain as being confined. The cage is narrow from shows the narrow form shows how confined it is as opposed to the openness of the free bird sky. The caged bird has a cage, narrow cage. On the other hand, the free bird has the open sky. The bars of rage refers to how, due to its anger and pain, the caged bird can barely see past its sorrow. The clipped wings and bound feet are supposed to show how its freedom was taken away from it. The line where the bird opens his mouth to sing is a turning point in the stanza, as it is the only thing the bird can do willingly. So, hence, Maya Angelou describes a bird with clipped wings whose feet have been tied and it has been placed in a cage that prevents it from flying away. Despite its fear, the caged bird continues to sing of freedom. It is locked in a cage and cannot fly because his wings are clipped and his feet are tied. So it stalks around. It shows the lack of freedom of the bird. The caged bird could never have the taste of freedom. The bird chooses to sing of freedom because it is the only thing it can do. The tune of the bird could be heard in the distant hills. The free bird flies around the wind currents, feeling like the sky belonging to him. The caged bird is an extended metaphor for the black community in American worldwide. The free bird symbolizes people who live in this world but not burdened by the prejudice of any type, whether it is racial, socio-economic, and psychological. So the free bird does not have such kind of we can say restricted experiences. The free bird has the opportunity to move through life soaking in its abundance. So, friends, this is how I had tried to solve the important questions from the famous poem and the difficult poem, the Caged Bird by Maya Angelou. So, please also you can also go through the video which I had done on the summary or the analysis of the Caged Bird, where you can see the line-to-line explanation, line-by-line explanation. And if you like this video, click on the like button. Share the video to your classmates, to your friends, so that it can reach to everybody and everybody can get benefit. So thank you so much for watching this video. If you want to reach me, you can reach me at mukeshenglish@gmail.com. Subscribe the channel if you have not yet subscribed. Thank you once again.